This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas. Today I'm doing two-color tuck stitch on my Brother 270, which is a patterning bulky machine. Before I dive in, I want to talk about the swatch a little bit. This pattern has a strong graphic, but it has no floats on the back. And it's got a thick, warm aspect to it. It is absolutely as wide as the number of needles used. Tuck Mosaic is similar to slip Mosaic, but it gives you more width and a thicker, beefier fabric. I'm also excited about how this fabric doesn't seem to curl much at all. I have not blocked at all. I have a little teeny bit of curling at the bottom here where I cast on and in the waist yarn, so I can take care of that with a simple hem. I'm also happy about the edge, which quite by accident occurred with kind of a bumpy every other color effect, really quite pretty. So let's get started with this pattern. First of all, the pattern is number 146 in the pattern book that goes with the 270. If I go to the back of the book and look at the diagram for the pattern, it will not look anything like the knitted pattern. Here's the diagram for pattern number 146. And as I mentioned, it doesn't look like the knitted pattern. I often pick out patterns to try by looking at the diagrams, but for these slip and tuck multicolor jobs, you really should look at the photographs. I'll just quickly program the pattern. My ready light is on and I press step. The pattern number is 146, but if I had another pattern in here, I would press CE for clear entry, put in the 146, and then step until the ready light's on. I should have mentioned that at the very beginning I have to use the selector 1. So I'm ready to go. This is a worsted weight yarn, and I've cast on tension 6 from needle 21 left to needle 21 right. I'm going to pick up a 6-row hem that I put in with the darker color. And my plan is to start with the lighter color as I begin this two-color, 2-row tuck stitch. So I'll get this hem up and show you the next step. I'm leaving the waist yarn on. I can remove the waist yarn a little later. Now, since this is a tuck stitch, it's a good idea to have weights all across the work. And I'm just putting a whole bunch of claw weights on my work. Now I'm going to change colors and thread up with the white yarn. I unthreaded the dark yarn, and since it's coming from the left upper tension antenna, I'm putting it under the left end of the machine to hold it. This will help me avoid tangling. My Carriage only has KC on the turn wheel. It doesn't have KC1 and KC2. KC is going to pick out whatever needles the patterning system says to pick out, and it won't automatically pick out the end needles. But if I turn my Carriage over, I can pick out the end needles by turning this little center part of this pink cam by a 1/4 turn. Now, I had already done that, but I just want to show you that. You have to do it on both ends, and that will automatically pick out the end needles every row. You need it to pick out the end needles every row for tuck stitch. Once I've picked up the hem, I'm going to thread the white yarn, and I put my Carriage on KC. I've gone outside the turn mark, and then I'm going to go across slowly, and my machine will pick out needles for the pattern. Now, just to review, if you've done tuck before, The only needles that tuck, that is, have the extra loop on them, are the ones at the back. The needles that it selects out to upper working position don't tuck. They're the plain needles. And I'm going to press both tuck buttons in on my carriage and knit from left to right. That was my first pattern row, and now I'm going to go from right to left for my second pattern row. Now my row counter reads 2. I'm going to put it on 2 because I forgot to reset to 0 when I picked up my hem. And I'm going to unthread the machine, which has white in it right now. I'm going to park the white yarn under the end of the bed on the right. I'm going to put in the dark yarn. This happens to be Caron Cakes and a whole bunch of different shades of reds and pinks. Now I'm knitting 2 rows of the dark color. And here's where it gets repetitive and easy. I'm going to unthread the dark color, park it on the left, pick up the white color from the right, and knit 2 rows of the white. I'll repeat this for as long as I want my piece to be. After I have knitted a while, I was just determined to see what this was doing, and I also wanted a good look at my hem to make sure that I'd be happy with it. So I'm going to get that waste yarn off and have a good look at that hem. Now, in order to successfully pull this out with the ribber bed in place, I put a bunch of weights on it from the back, just to make life a little bit less risky, because you don't want to drop the tuck loops off the needles. Okay, so there's my little hem with the waste yarn removed, and let's turn this in, and I think I'm going to be very happy with that, and I think the hem is going to look just fine.